Okay, so we're going to talk about misrepresentation and good faith. We got about 5 lessons and a unit exam of 8. We're going to try and get all this done in under 30 minutes. All right, 4 elements must exist for misrepresentation to occur, and that's right over here. Let's go over some terminology: negligence, unintentional or intentional. The false statement, person making the false statement, another person relied on the false statement, and the person who relied on it was harmed. Those are the 4 things. Is he guilty of intentional misrepresentation? Which element of an intentional misrepresentation is missing? Let's look at this again. The false statement, the person who represented the false statement, another person relies on it, and the person who relied on it. I think this one is missing. Is this misrepresentation? Chris made statements about the somewhere, but he didn't know which statements were false. Although he's not guilty of intentional misrepresentation, it seems he's likely guilty of unintentional ones because he's simply relying on the word of the sellers. And the sellers surely are and could face consequences for their actions. All right, Chris is viewing a new listing and discussing the actions of the seller to prepare the property for showing. When looking at an upstairs bedroom, he sees a stain on the ceiling and asks what the stain is from. Well, the sellers inform him the roof has a leak. He suggests repainting the ceiling, hiding the stain. Shortly after the property's listed, an offer is made. It's move-in day and it's raining, and not just outside, but it's upstairs in that bedroom. Is he guilty of intentional misrepresentation? Yes. He should have disclosed the leaky roof to all parties. This is a material fact that the buyer should have been aware of. There are different types of misrepresentation. There is self-dealing, personal interest in and there's concealment, which is probably intentional, and there's making an inadvertent misstatement. Okay, so misrepresentative scenarios. All right, Chris represents the buyer and doesn't tell the buyer that the seller is offering the buyer's agent a bonus if the offer brings in 30 days. I mean, that's kind of self-dealing. He is aware of a basement leak and he doesn't disclose it. It's intentional. He accepts an undisclosed referral fee. Self-dealing. A seller tells Chris a crack in the wall is an indication of a foundation issue. He discusses it with the buyer who purchases the home, and it turns out there are foundation problems. So that is unintentional. Okay, you earned the key of representation. Awesome. Huff and puff, but I won't misrepresent. All right, this is the best view in the neighborhood, the best deal in town, this property. All right, which one is puffery and which one is misrepresentation? Exaggerations, misrepresentation of a material fact, and puffery, which is exaggeration. Both of these may be materially false. There may be other 3 or even 30 houses with better views in that neighborhood. Exaggerations are not necessarily misrepresentation, but there's a fine line between an exaggeration or opinion and whether the consumer relies upon it. The resource describes puffery and how it is different from misrepresentation. So what's the difference? Both of these may be materially false. And even though they may be material statements that relate to the property's value, they may be false. They could be considered misrepresentation. There's nothing wrong with puffery, provided you're sincere and don't say something Don't say the same thing about every house you list or show a buyer but puffing can easily slide into the realm of misrepresentation. This view will never be obstructed. I mean, you don't know that. These assertions would qualify as misrepresentation if a buyer relied upon them. A reasonable buyer would rely on these claims coming from an expert in the field of real estate, which would be you in the future. So never make concrete, unsubstantiated claims. If you're wondering whether something is puffing or misrepresentation, ask yourself if it could be tested in a court of law. So it could be very sure of the facts before you speak them. Is it the best deal in town? I don't know. So what's the difference? A reasonable buyer would know that puffery to be an exaggerated statement and not rely on it, whereas misrepresentation occurs when a reasonable buyer would rely on the statement as it is coming from an expert in the field. Hello? Okay. Is it stuck? Okay, there we go. For some reason it's stuck. I don't know what happened. Best house on the block. Well, that's definitely exaggeration. Views you dreamed of. Home values are going to skyrocket. To me, that's... I don't know. I don't know if that's one or not. Is that puffery or is it misrepresentation? Let's see. Let's check it out. Come on now. I need you to wake up. What's the matter with this thing? It's like falling asleep. Maybe we'll wore it out today. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. So this one's misrepresentative. We already talked about this, didn't we? Okay. There are two examples of misrepresentation. Okay. All right, again. This thing is really starting to... Must be getting tired. Okay, I think this one is misrepresentation. Didn't I already do that one? This thing is acting crazy. This might be the last one I have to videotape for the day because it's starting to act up. Looks like it's taking longer to load too. Okay, reasonable claims. Okay, I might pause it because it's taking so long to move on here. I don't know what's going on with this. So I might pause this video, and since it's taken so long to continue, it's crazy. Okay. Okay, the next one is good faith. Act in your client's best interests. If you purchase a client's property intending to turn it into a duplex without informing the owner of your plans. I mean, to me, that's none of their business. What you do with it, you already sold it, correct? It says over here it's not. I mean, I don't really think it's their business. What difference does it make? They sold it to you. Or your client wants to purchase a commercial building, you would earn a sizable fee. You agree to represent the buyer in the transaction. It's not in good faith. Over here it says it's not good faith because you have no experience negotiating commercial properties. It would be best if you could mentor with somebody in the commercial. If you want to get interested in commercial, the best way to do it is to get mentored by somebody who does commercial real estate and then go take that test. Because commercial real estate is another whole ball game. All right. You represent a seller and buyer in the same transaction. The buyer needs to move quickly. They're giving you all these scenarios over here. Here it is right here, and it says yes. You agree and notify your seller of the bonus, receiving permission in writing. You're making a listing presentation when you learn the competitor you run into before will also be presenting to the sellers later that day. You tell the sellers you hope they will decide to work with you. I mean, to me, that's okay. All right, you have a new listing and you may have a buyer, but your buyer can't see the property. It's giving us the answers right over here. This is so silly. Okay, you have a new listing. Saying but your buyer can't see the property until Monday. At the Sunday open house, a buyer asked you to present an offer. You present the offer to your seller and notify the seller another potential buyer has asked to see the property Monday. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, now the thing about the aids is you can't disclose anything about aids to anybody if somebody you know has it. You have a listing being sold through an estate and disclosed to a prospective buyer the prior owner had died of AIDS. Yeah, they don't need to know that. Okay, you have a new listing and you have a buyer while your seller is mulling over your buyer's offer. Another offer comes in. What should you do? You decide to wait till you let your client know about the other offer, but point out its many flaws and talk up your buyer's offer. It says it right here. You convey the other buyer's offer and discuss the merits and drawbacks. It's nice when you give you all the answers, ain't it? Okay. All right. You have a new listing and learn from the seller that a train track will be built. Oh my gosh. That a train track is going to be built. Let's see if we can find that one on here. I don't see that one on here. Okay, maybe we have to actually think on this one. All right, let's see. The seller wants the move date wants to move due to the expected noise issue, but asks you not to mention it to prospective buyers and respond dishonestly when asked. Not in good faith. You tell your client you cannot obey this order. You are in the key of good faith. I mean, all right, apply your knowledge. All right. Benjamin expressed that he misunderstood the contract, especially related to the date of possession. He subsequently filed a complaint that Arthur should have had an attorney draft the contract rather than Arthur fill in the blanks. What are your thoughts? Did he commit a violation? I don't think so. He just filled in the blanks. Most people just do that, by the way. Carter showed Dennis several properties. All the properties were elite listings. One had an outdoor pool. He decided to put an offer on the property that was accepted. After the transaction closed, Dennis learned there was a similar property that had an indoor pool. The property would have been a better option for the family, but it wasn't an elite property listing. Carla knew this property was available and that it was better suited, but didn't show it to Dennis because it wasn't on the listings. Did she commit a violation? I think so. She didn't act in the best interest of her client. Ashley is a buyer's agent. She showed them several properties, but one really picked her interest. They scheduled a second showing, a third, a fourth. Ashley called Tom and Kate and offered a final showing. Rumor had it that Tom's company might relocate to a new area. He was nervous this might mean taking a loss if he had to turn around and sell the home. Ashley provided Tom and Kate with a written guarantee to insure them the property. Our office guarantees to get your money out for you at any time in the next year if you need to sell. Before the year is up, because he was relocated, Ashley agreed to list the property for the same amount they purchased the home when there was no offers. When Ashley discussed lowering the list price due to current market condition, they filed a complaint of misrepresentation. I think so. All right, congratulations. You read the key of knowledge. And we would definitely take that key. All right, ethics in Maryland study tools. Now, this could be specific to Maryland. I'm not sure. It looks like it. It says Maryland. I like that when I get one stupid question. What do you think? Well, I think it's awesome. Okay, we got 8 questions. Can we get it past the first time? Let's see. Which of the following is true of the harm caused by a person relying on false information? Can be physical or monetary. Which of the following is an example of puffery? This would be misrepresentation, I believe. I think this one. Which of the following is true about positive misrepresentation? Which of the following is an example of self-dealing? Which of the following is true of material fact? One element of unintentional misrepresentation is the false statement did not cause intentional. The person making it knew it was false or should have known. The person relying on the false information knew it was false. The person making the false statement knew it was false. The violation is an example of what? Tells his clients that the property they're interested in purchasing is zoned as residential, even though he knows it's zoned as commercial. That's pretty bad there. That is definitely misrepresenting. That's pretty huge. Okay, what is puffery? Exaggeration. All right, we passed. That's all that matters. Let's see which 2 we got wrong. I'm going to go kind of slow in case anybody wants to take any screenshots. Wants to save these questions and look at them later on. This video will be up forever unless YouTube takes it down. So you can always come back and look at it, save it, come back and look at it another time. Okay, this one I got wrong. It was supposed to be the one in green. The principal was harmed by this misstatement. Positive misrepresentation. Someone was harmed, okay? I have no way of remembering that because it doesn't make any sense. How is it positive if they're harmed? Okay, so this one here, a licensee purchases a listing through his cousin but does not inform the seller. Self-dealing, okay. Which of the following is true of material fact? Intentional misrepresentation. The person knew the statement was false when they made it. Misrepresentation or omitting. It's pretty serious there. That could open up a whole lawsuit. All right, so the next unit is probably going to be specifically for Maryland. It looks like it's the Maryland Real Estate Commission. So I will put that in the title, and if it doesn't pertain to you, you don't need to watch it. But if it does have other stuff other than Maryland, I will not put Maryland in the title. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming back.